Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games. I'm Lee, and in this video we'll be taking at the brand new Soulblight Gravelords and seeing how we can use them in Warcry. In this video we'll use the Bringers of Death Warcry supplement book, and we'll take the fighter cards and abilities from there. We'll use all the stats that are in the Legions of Nagash section, but for the kind of narrative and the reasons why these Soulblight Gravelords would be in the 8 points and how they would fit into Warcry, we're going to have to kind of just use the information from Legions of Nagash until we get a bit more information that's going to come out with that new Age of Sigmar book. And in that book we're going to get lots more narrative, lots of lore, all relating specifically to the Gravelords. And that story is really linked to Warhammer Quest Cursed City and all the miniatures that we're going to get included in that. And that's got a really cool backstory. So I'm really interested to see how that's going to work. And I'll do some videos for those miniatures and how we can use those in Warcry really soon too. If you're interested in finding out about Cursed City, I've done a few videos on that now. And here's one of them that I did with the full reveal. In the Bringers of Death book, it tells us how the Legions of Nagash fit into Warcry, and it says the God of the Dead will take any opportunity to undermine his rivals, commanding his armies to slaughter their servants and raise them anew in service to him. Thrall bands of cadaver warriors, led by cunning necromancers, travel to the lands of the Varanspire to wage campaigns of grueling attrition against the worshippers of the ruinous powers, defiling their shrines and denying them access to precious seams of Varanite realmstone. It also says that the Soulblight aristocracy are the undead nobles, and they're faster and stronger than any mortal, but at the same time they're cursed with an all-consuming need to drink the blood of the living. So if we're looking to use these new Soulblight Gravelords in Warcry, there's loads of room there for us to make up our own narrative and just bounce off this section that tells us all about the Legions of Nagash. Let's get started, and we'll look at each of the new models that were released in the preview, and we'll look at their fighter abilities, the leader abilities, and all the stats on the fighter cards, and I'll just match up some fighter cards that I think match each of the new models. And here's the first new miniature that we're going to go through in this video, and this is Lady Anakin. She's like a Vampire Lord, so straight away it's going to fit in with the Vampire Lord fighter card that's included in the Warcry book. And this miniature was released in the Monday new model preview, so this wasn't even released in the preview that came out on the weekend, so this is really cool, the most up-to-date one. I think this is a great sculpt. But as a Vampire Lord, this one's going to come in at 235 points, it's going to have a movement of 4, toughness 4, and can take 25 wounds. We've got the faction rune mark, and then we've got the leader rune mark, the flight rune mark, and one other that's going to apply to an ability, and the weapon is this blade, so we've got a range of 1, can make 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 6 on a crit. So all round, pretty powerful miniature, quite tough, can take a bit of damage, can fly, which is really great, and has got some serious damage output with those 4 attacks, dealing 2 to 6 on a crit. As a leader, this fighter's only going to come with 1 leader ability, which is a really good one though, a triple called Summon Undead. Pick a friendly fighter that has been taken down. Set up that fighter once more on the battlefield, wholly within 3 inches of this fighter. The fighter sets up on the battlefield, no longer counts as being taken down. Remove a number of damage points allocated to that fighter equal to the value of this ability. So this is a really good ability and really strong when you've got lots of fighters like you'd have with Legions of Nagash with the skeleton army. But there is a little bit at the end where it says remove a number of damage points allocated to that fighter equal to the value of this ability. Now I take it as if the fighter's been taken down and say they've received 12 damage points, then whatever the value of the ability is, you remove those damage points. So they come back onto the field, but they still could be suffering some damage. So for example, if it's a value of 6 and they've taken 12 damage before they were taken down, then you would remove 6 and they'd still have 6 damage points allocated to them. Another take on this is that they come back with full health, and then whatever the value of the ability is, you take those damage points off them. So I'm not sure which way to play that, but if you know for sure, please let me know in the comments below. That'd be great to find out. The Vampire Lord has also got this kind of screaming skull rune mark, so they can use this other fighter ability, which is a triple called Thirst for Blood. A fighter can use this ability only if an enemy fighter has been taken down by an attack action made by them this activation. You can remove a number of damage points equal to the value of this ability from this fighter. This is a great narrative-driven ability, and the idea is if they take an enemy down, they're drinking their blood, they're getting their energy back, and so you can remove a number of damage points. And if you get a high value to this ability, you can really replenish those damage points. And when you're bringing back the undead as well and putting them back on the battlefield, these two combined can be really powerful. So there we go, that's the leader ability, and that triple summon undead is going to be for any leader for the Legions of Nagash. So we won't go over it for each one, but now we've seen it, we'll make a note of it, and then we know that any leader is going to get this ability. As well as that leader ability, any fighter with the Legions of Nagash rune mark is also going to get a fighter ability, which is a double called Shambling Horde. A fighter can use this ability only if they are within 6 inches of a visible friendly fighter with the leader rune mark. This fighter can make a bonus move action a number of inches equal to half the value of this ability, rounding up. I think this is a deceptively good ability, and for a double it can be really powerful. Once you've got all those skeletons or zombies just swarming the objectives, this can be really good. And if you employ a tactic of taking a hero into your warband who's also got the leader rune mark, then they can use this ability too. So you could have 2 fighters with the leader rune mark both making use of this and really driving the force forward. Now we're on to this guy, Kreitzer, the Rat Prince, and he's also perfectly set up to be a Vampire Lord, so he's going to get exactly the same statistics for his fighter card and the same abilities as we saw for the previous leader. So there we go, he's going to get that leader ability plus the fighter abilities, and we've already seen those. And you do have an option, if you wanted to play him as well, of having 2 Vampire Lords by bringing him in as a hero. Now we're on to this model, which is one of the Blood Knights, and in the set they previewed on the weekend, it showed there's 5 Blood Knights in the set, but I think we could use one of those as some kind of leader type. So this would be perfect as a Castellan, and this is going to come in at 250 points. And for those points, you're going to get a movement of 8, a toughness 4, and can take 25 wounds. The rune marks here, the leader rune mark, we've got the faction rune mark, the screaming skull rune mark, and also the mounted rune mark. And the weapon is just a sword or a close-up kind of weapon with a range of 1, making 4 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 5 on a crit. So pretty strong, pretty tough, can deal the damage and can really cover some ground, but high at 250 points. As with all the leaders, this one's going to get the triple Summon Undead leader ability, and it's also going to get the triple Thirst for Blood fighter ability and the standard fighter ability that all the fighters with the Legions of Nagash rune mark get. Now we're on to another one of the new models, and this one's awesome. I really love this miniature, and this can be another Vampire Lord. So you could play it as a Vampire Lord, but I thought it would be fun to have this one as a different kind of leader, which is the White King with Black Axe. It doesn't match the picture or the image, but it certainly can make use of those statistics, and there's no reason why we can't proxy this miniature for this card. And this is going to come in at 200 points. It's going to have the leader rune mark and the skull with flames rune mark, and the movement is a 3, so it can't move as much, but it's got toughness 4 and can take 25 wounds. The weapon is got like an axe, so it's a range of 1, can make 4 attacks, strength 5, dealing 3 to 5 on a crit. And so I thought with this kind of mace or club that she's got, I think this would be a real good set of statistics to play her, although the movement is quite low. As well as the standard leader and fighter abilities, she's also going to get the double beheading strike. Add half the value of this ability, rounding up, to the number of damage points allocated by each critical hit from the next attack action made by this fighter, this activation that has a range characteristic of 3 or less. So this is a real nice double ability for this fighter, already dealing 3 to 5 on a crit, now can add half the value of the ability rounded up to the number of damage points by each critical hit in the next attack action made. So this could be a real good double to use when she's really putting out some damage. And with those high amount of attack rolls, she's going to get some crits. So this is a really great ability. And we've got another option for a leader, which is this new model, another great model, White King on the mount. And he could be a Castellan as well. And then we've been through this one already. So he could take the Castellan fighter card and the abilities that come along with that fighter. And then he's going to get the standard leader ability, the standard fighter ability, plus the thirst for blood. And if you want to try him out as a different one, then he could also be a Hell Knight. And that wouldn't be a leader, that would be a regular fighter. But he is going to come with this double cursed weapon ability. And this is one we haven't seen yet, and it's until the end of this fighter's activation. Add 1 to the damage points allocated by hits and critical hits from attack actions made by this fighter that have a range characteristic of 3 or less. So this is a really nice ability, and it's not just for one attack action, it's until the end of the fighter's activation. So you can add 1 damage point for all hits and critical hits. So that's a really great ability for a double. So you can see these really are about moving them forward, getting that extra movement, and then just swamping the objectives, and then just dealing out the punishment and those extra damage points. So a really nice double. So it could be worth taking one of these into your warband just to make use of this ability. Now we've covered all the leaders, let's take a look at the Blood Knights, another great set of miniatures that I can't wait to get. These look really cool, and these are going to be brilliant fun in Warcry. You're probably not going to want to play these as a warband on their own, but to bring in 1 or 2 into a warband would really be quite cool. Add to some different extra movement and things like that. So I think these would be worth getting. Hopefully they'll bring out a kind of start collecting set for the Gravelords, and that'd be really cool just to get them in there. Otherwise, I think if you were just buying these, you're probably looking at £35 potentially for 5 models. And if you're only going to use 1 or 2, that's going to be quite expensive. But yeah, so I think these would be well worth including. And if you wanted to, they come in at 195 points. They're going to get the Screaming Skull rune mark, the Mounted rune mark, and they got a movement of 8, toughness 5, and they can take 22 wounds. Their kind of weapon range is a bit longer because they've got these kind of pikes or spears. So they've got a range of 2, can make 3 attacks, strength 4, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So for just under 200 points, you get a fair bit there, you get a good movement. They're very tough, can take some damage, and can put out a little bit of punishment too. Abilities, they're going to get that Shambling Horde double, and they're also going to get this triple Thirst for Blood. Now we're on to the new zombies that have been released, and these are awesome. I love these. They're getting some hate for the roots and the gravestones that are stuck in them, but I quite like it. I get the idea. With the graves, it's as if when they've been buried, the townsfolk put spikes through them to make sure they were dead and couldn't come back. It didn't work. They came back anyway, and I guess those roots are from the kind of thorns and trees that have grown around them in their shallow graves. So it kind of fits in for it, makes them look a bit more flowing and gives them a good look. I think they makes them quite unique, and I really like it, and I think it's a definite improvement on the zombies that already exist. And it ties in with the zombies you're going to get if you pick up the Cursed City set. So these are really cool. And at only 55 points, you can bring in loads of zombies to your warband. They haven't got much movement. With a movement 3, toughness 4, can take 10 wounds. They've got a weapon range of 1, and I guess they're just going to claw at you, stab you, or hit you, whatever they've got. They can make 2 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit. So for a 55-point model, you're not going to expect much. But to get a toughness 4 and 10 wounds, that's pretty good. So not bad at all. You're going to want to play these with leaders because they only come with this double Shambling Horde, and they need a leader to activate that. So you have to take that into account when building a warband with zombies in it. And the great news is we're going to have lots to choose from. I mean, there's 10 different sculpts revealed here, plus you've got the ones in Cursed City. So a real good choice of zombies to play. And I think this would make a really fun addition to a warband. And even building a warband around just zombies would be really fun. We also got to see these new Death Rattle skeleton warriors, and they come with all different weapons, swords, shields, spears. And this first one I thought was perfect for a skeleton warrior with Ancient Spear. And at 55 points, it's going to have a movement 3, toughness 4, can take 8 wounds. He's got a weapon range of 2, making 2 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 4 on a crit, and we're going to get lots of options with the death rattle skeletons. So let's check out all the different ones and then the abilities that apply to the different fighters. So we can make one into a skeleton champion, and at 80 points, they've still got the movement 3, toughness 4, and they've got a little bit extra damage they can take at 12. They've got a movement 1, can make 4 attacks now, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit, but they do get an extra rune mark, so they are going to come with an extra ability, which we'll check out in a little while. You'll also get to use them as skeleton warriors with ancient blades, and at 55 points they've got a movement 3, toughness 4, can take 8 wounds, and their weapons are a range 1, making 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 1 to 3 on a crit. And with no extra abilities, we're also going to get another choice now with the Seneschal and the Graveguard. This might be pushing it a little bit because they don't look anything like these two, and they'd almost be blending in with the skeleton warriors. But if you really wanted to, there's no reason why you can't proxy any skeletons for the Seneschal and Graveguard. Just make it obvious which one's which. And I thought with the banner and this mace, you could make those stand out and certainly differentiate them from the rest of the Warband. Abilities wise, they're all going to get this double shambling horde fighter ability, and then the skeleton champion, he'll get the cursed weapon that we've already seen, and that's a double. And then if you choose to do the Seneschal and the Graveguard, they're going to get the cursed weapon. Again, we've seen that one too, and so that's the abilities that all these fighters are going to get. We got to see so many cool miniatures released in this preview, and that includes these Felbats, and these look awesome. So these are going to come in a set of 3, and the great news is there is a fighter card for these that already exists. That's in the book, and this is under the Thralls section. So in the Monsters and Thralls section, you'll see that you can use a Felbat either as a thrall within your warband, or you can use them as like a chaotic beast to go up against. So these are definitely well worth getting because you've got 2 uses. You could just use them in a random battle between any warbands, have them coming in as chaotic beasts, or you can include them in your own warband as a thrall, and that's a really awesome addition. And I think these are really good value. At 105 points, you're getting a movement 10, toughness 3, they can take 12 wounds, they can fly, they've got the thrall rune mark and the screaming skull rune mark, and then weapons wise, and they got a weapon range of 1, making 3 attacks, strength 3, dealing 2 to 4 on a crit. So for 105 points, these are really great value. And ability wise, they're going to come again with the double shambling horde. So if you're using them as a thrall, they can't use the chaotic beast abilities, but they will also get this triple, the thirst for blood, which really fits in with their narrative. So that was all the miniatures we saw in the preview, but we also got to see the Soulblight Gravelords book that's going to come out for Age of Sigmar. And on the cover, you can see on the cover art, there's some dragons flying around. So I thought it's got to be cool if they bring out either a zombie dragon or a Terrorgeist. So we've already got those fighter cards again in the monster section of the book, so that's going to be awesome. So once you start going into campaign mode and you're getting up to that 1400 point value, you could even start looking at bringing in a zombie dragon or a Terrorgeist into your warband. So I put these 2 options here. They're high points, 350 or 360, but they do come with a lot of power. So this is a really nice addition and something to think about, and hopefully they'll bring out some new dragons of some kind at some point. I'm really excited for these miniatures. I think the Vampire Lords are really great. Everyone I've seen so far is brilliant, and so I've put together up to 1,000 point warband for Warcry, and these came in at 960 points. And I wanted them to be pretty different to the Legions of Nagash, just in the way you play them, but also in the appearance. So I've gone for the Vampire Lord as the leader, and then I thought it'd be cool to use the White King with Black Axe fighter, but proxy it with the other Vampire Lord and bring this one in as a hero. So then we can take advantage of those leader abilities, and so that's going to be really good, especially when we've got zombies in the warband. So the next one, those are Blood Knight, and just to bring one in, I thought it'd be quite fun just to have this one mounted fighter, and it's going to give a little bit extra movement, but it's really for just the appearance and just to add a little bit of a difference in the gameplay to take them away from the Legions of Nagash. And then with 6 zombies, we've got our shambling horde to push forward. We can split them up so we can have 2 zombies in each deployment, and I think that would be a real fun way to get started. Looked at how to expand this once we start getting those territories, dominating those territories in the campaign. We're going to get extra points that we can use, and we can also start to bring in thralls. So for every dominated territory, we can bring in a thrall, and so I've stuck with the same warband, but in addition, I've added 2 extra zombies, and then 3 of the Felbats. And I think these Felbats will be really fun once you start bringing them in. You start off with 1, then you dominate another territory, you can bring in a 2nd, then a 3rd, you bring in a 3rd bat, and then finally the 2 zombies, and you've got a really cool and interesting warband to play with. So cool, you've got your leader with the flight ability, so she can really zip around, make use of the terrain. You've got the bats flying in with a huge 10 movement, and then you've got the Blood Knight advancing really fast, in and out between all the zombies pushing forward, and then with the powerful 2nd Vampire Lord with the White King and Black Axe fighter card coming in just for that extra power, dealing that damage, but also bringing these zombies back to life. So the Vampire Lord and the White King, both those leaders can bring those zombies back with their triple ability. So I think that would make a great warband to take into a campaign for sure. A lot of us were hoping for vampires, so it's been really cool to see these Soulblight Gravelords being previewed. But we've also got the Crimson Court set coming out soon, like in a month or so, for Underworlds. So I really hope that they bring out something specific for Warcry 2, because it would be awesome to have a vampire warband specific to Warcry with all the cards and everything. I think that would be amazing. But we don't really need it. We can make our own. We've got everything we need in the books. We can create our own cards if need be. We can play around with the abilities and come up with some new narrative ideas. And with the Crimson Court, these new figures released. And then on top of that, we've got the Cursed City game coming out soon. That's going to give us tons of miniatures, all really unique. So we'll get more vampires, more bats, zombie skeletons, and we'll get a load of heroes. So we could even put together a vampire hunting warband, and they could go up against them. So narrative wise, we've got tons of options to go with here, and so many miniatures. It's just really exciting, and I can't wait for Cursed City to come out. That'll be the first place to start, and then we can start adding on with the Underworld set and all the Soulblight Gravelords as they're released. It'll be great to hear what you think about all these new releases coming out. Are you happy with the kind of design they've gone with these vampires? And which ones you like the most? Which ones don't you like? What do you think they could have improved on? So join in the comment section below. It'd be awesome to hear what you think. I'll be bringing out another video for Cursed City just to update us, because we've had some really good articles come out on the Warhammer community site. So I'll be going over those really soon. And I'm also going to do some videos where I go through all the miniatures that you're going to get in the Cursed City box. And I'm going to match them up to fighter cards and develop some warbands around those too. Thanks to everyone who's joined the Patreon so far. It's been awesome to get to know you over on Discord. And if you like this content and would like to support the channel, then please check out my Patreon page. It's an awesome place. We hang out on Discord, talk about the hobby, help each other, share ideas, and you can pick up content there that you won't find anywhere else. So I'll put a link for that in the description, and it'd be awesome to see you there. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you liked the video and this gave you a good insight as to how you could use these vampires for Warcry. Thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit the notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish Daily.